started. And I'm going to first say thank you for the opportunity to meet. For those who you don't know me, I'm Daryl Andrews, Coach D. I own a workforce development, innovation, and motivation firm. We are in Florida and we are in Delaware, but the country's ours. We've been. I mean, you'll see in a few moments because I do want to share a quick little PowerPoint. I've been in countless workforce solution sites, Texas Workforce Commissions. We've done programs all throughout the state multiple times. And as I was saying a little earlier, next week I'll be doing the Choices program for Workforce Solutions in Lubbock. And I've been doing that for 16 years, where we do a week long, what's called Success in the Workplace. And we're training and actually, it's really motivating job seekers, typically TANF and all around the skill sets we know we want them to know: resume writing, interviewing skills. But the spin we put on it, we're bringing that motivation to them. Folks, once they get engaged, whether we were doing live programs, which we've done a lot of those for them, or virtual, which we've been doing a lot recently. We get folks on. There may be 45 people, 50 people on Monday, and then there's 45, 50 people on Friday. They stay with it because we try to. Our thing is that we want folks to take ownership. We realize, and for people who may not necessarily know how to take ownership, you got to motivate them to. Now, what typically happens sometime is you may get some dislocated workers on there as well. So I balance it out. You know what I mean? I don't want to seem as though we're just speaking to like TANF with all that. So that's with them. And there's been a lot of other sites that have had us work with you know, um, their clients as well. So that program is called Success in the Workplace. And um and so what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I want to pull up this little slide thing here and just share with you what got and our hope, and I believe because again, I was approached to do this meeting. So my hope is that from Ms. De La Garza, there may be an interest in us being a resource for you, you know. And that's that, and I hope the case because most of y'all know me from NARDIP and it's so funny. I've been been presenter at that conference, National Association of Workforce Development Professionals, for 18 years. I've 3 times been a keynote speaker. And our workshops are so popular that they literally had to start giving me the ballroom. So if you were there this last one, I was in the ballroom again because they pack it out. And they found out one year because they gave me a room for 100 people and 500 people showed up. And and um and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because in workforce development, we keep it what it is. This is about people. This is the human experience that we have. And technology is great. I'm all for it, but that will never replace, particularly some of the populations we serve, it will never replace it because this population needs that human experience. They need us to be there with them to, even if they are doing something with AI, to walk them through that and work with them in that process because it's all about trust, things like that. So I think our events are popular and it's because what we talk about, everyone knows we need this. Is we absolutely need it. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna go in here real quick and then I'll gonna ask you some questions, but just to share a little bit about who we are and what we do. I'm an author. I have several books out. These are two of my latest books, The Self-Care Movement and Post-Pandemic Leadership. Those two books are important, Mr. Kelly, because with your space, it's about the organization. It's about the operations. It's about the people that work for the organizations. So we said we're gonna write 2 books that's gonna help from an operational standpoint, the people side, our staff, our leaders. So the self-care movement is all about well-being. And so we wrote that because workforce development is a field where we get a lot of compassion fatigue because we're constantly pouring out. And so what we're saying is, no, we have to pour in, and self-care is something that should be taking place. We should be having self-care conversations with our organization. Then I wrote post-pandemic leadership because, in order to recruit and retain talent nowadays, there's a whole new model of leadership that we've helped to design to help leaders understand that the people that we were leading several years ago are not the people we're leading today. And what are some of the skill sets that we need to be upskilled to accomplish? So we came up with a mantra for that, and that is leadership is not but a definition of leadership. post-pandemic, and that is leadership is the ability to listen, understand, and engage. And so we're coaching leaders on that skill set because, people is an issue nowadays. And so we help with that. So that I just wanted to, because the books are here, I just wanted to give you a little understanding what those books are about. But I do want to share this with you because I got to add a little bit of my piece to it. My grandmother. And my grandmother, and I have these stickers. I can send some to you all if you want. I actually made a sticker out of this thing. But my grandmother, she's from the Bahamas. And we lost her 20 years ago. She was the sweetest woman you ever want to meet in your life. I don't think she ever had a bad day in her life. And I remember going to her all the time with my problems, and I would say, Ma, this, and we called her Ma that, and Ma this, and Ma that. And my friends, her response was always the same. It's going to be all right, baby. I don't care what I shared with this woman. It was always the same. And I'm giving this out to workforce development, my peers in the industry all over the country. 'Cause I said, you know what? A lot's going on, but it's gonna be all right, baby. And I think right now, Miss Scott, people need to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm at this meeting and everybody, talking about what's happening with Job Corps, it's so much like, and you can feel the heaviness in the room. And I'm trying to say to everybody, I get it. Yes, stuff is happening now. I get that. But we got to still serve people. You know what I mean? We leave this meeting, we got to go back and serve our client base. Are we gonna go back depressed or what are we gonna do here? So we gotta have things, and this is just a slogan to help with that. All right. And so just to let you know, because people see Coach D, they don't realize Coach D has a team. You know what I mean? So I have a group of people, and this is part of the team. This is not the entire team, that does a variety of different things for us. And right now, as we're speaking, they're working with some of the different organizations we've been honored to work with. And they're all great. It's a very diverse team, good people, committed, smart, and love what we do. So it's not just me. I do want to point that out because we have some projects that are even bigger projects where it takes several people to do the work. We got a team to do that. So I think that's important. Another, and so I mentioned I work with Texas organizations. These are just a few. You know what I mean? And I can put more up there, but like I said, Workforce Solutions, South Plains, that's a 60, actually been 18 years. We're doing choices, serious next meet, but then we do case management. We've done case management for a lot of them, like Dallas. We've done that multiple times. We train the entire staff on that. And we have a model that focuses on we call it from case management to motivational interviewing. I had a chance to meet the person who created motivational interviewing. I got a lot from him, Dr. Stephen Rolnick. And so I took that information and compiled it into a system because he didn't work. His model was not a model for workforce development when he did it. So I had to pull some stuff out of it. And so we created that. And so we do training in the state of New Mexico. We train all their job centers, all of them, on this model. And so they had a comprehensive model of how they engage with clients. And it took us about 7, 8 months to do that project over in New Mexico. But you can see Workforce Solutions Dallas, we did client and staff training. Dallas has us come in a lot too, and hopefully you'll keep this one in mind too, because now we are to do a lot of reinvention training because they have a high dislocated worker population and they're always looking for ways to help that population reinvent themselves. So I'm an author of a book entitled Reinvention: The Pathway to Job Search Success. Most of these folks have had me in at least once to do it. The group over in Amarillo had me in to do this training for several companies that closed down and they needed some dislocated worker training. So we did some work with them. And then with team building is another big one for us. Aaron Demerson is really a good friend. Now he's over Texas economic development. But when he was there, we were very good. We met all the time, talked all the time, strategized all the time. So we did some stuff with them as well. And then Workforce Solutions Cameron, our relationship there is pretty interesting because it's typically for the youth. And we do what's called careers. I don't know if y'all been around long enough to remember careers in Texas, where they would bring the training, they would do the training for the youth, the speaking. That was my part on STEM and motivation. Then they would bring in manufacturers, local companies to speak to the youth. So they did they did those frequently for their young people, and we did quite a few of those. So that's just a few of those. So again, I get a chance to speak all over the country. I really do. I think there's about 4,000 people at this conference, and there's a reason why I chose this field. And really what we want is generational transformation. We want our job seekers And we want those who work with the job seekers to understand that the reason why we want to continually work on, enhancing our skill sets, being better at connecting with the clients, being better at working with each other, because our work is truly generational. That's all to it. When my mother was impacted by workforce development many decades ago, which she was, that transformed my life. And here I am with you today. She was first generation high school graduate. I was first generation college graduate. you know, Now my younger cousin just several years ago got his doctoral from Penn State. Two of my kids have graduated from college. One's an honor student in college and already got a full-time job, even though he's still in college, which I'm glad of because it takes him off the payroll. So I got three off the payroll and I got one more, and she's the most expensive out of all of them. So y'all make sure you contract me because I gotta make money so I can take care of her. Some of y'all laugh because y'all know what I'm talking about. You got kids, you know them little rascals expensive, boy. So, but because of my mother doing her thing, I became a first generation college graduate. My wife's a graduate. Not my mom had nothing to do with my wife, but she's a graduate of North Carolina A&T. She has an engineering degree. My son went to one of the top art schools in the country. My daughter graduated from American University with honors, and she works for a global climate company. She's getting married, so we're doing the African celebration this Saturday because she's marrying a person from Ghana. And so we're doing that on Saturday, and the actual marriage is taking place in September. My youngest son is an honor student at the University of Central Florida. Again, he landed full-time employment, even though he's not done yet. They're already paying him like big scale. And then they said they're going to pay him more when he graduates. So he said, then I have a 14-year-old daughter. But this has been the outcome of my life. When workforce development changed my mom, it changed me. And I want all your staff to know that, all your team to understand this is not just getting people a job. It really isn't. It's changing a mindset. It's changing a paradigm. And we should collectively, when I ran my staff under WIA, when I was running programs, I told my staff, we had 25 people, that we have to collectively, we have to be on the same page. We have to understand that we are here for a specific reason. And everything that flows out of this operation has to align with this purpose of generational transformation. So our community partners, our funders, all of that, we were very, we communicate all this stuff. Our employers had to go through orientations. When we work with the youth, our parents had to go through orientations, and the parents had to sign what's called a parent compact, which means that we're working with your kids, we need you on board. But we trained the parents. It wasn't like a disrespectful thing. No, you better sign this or else. They voluntarily wanted to because they knew we cared about their kids, you see. And so from that, it's a lot going, so our systems were tight, but it's all about generational transformation. You can see in these pictures, that's Dr. Maya Angelou in there. And that we did a book tour under Chicken Soup for the African American Soul. Did a book tour for her. That's Maria from Sesame Street. She and I were keynote speakers at the National PTA convention. And I jokingly tell people this picture over here is a ring that many other fans will not see because I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles 2017 Super Bowl ring. But you gotta be a football fan, don't hate on me because we just won again. So it is what it is. All right. And I'm an author of 9 books. These are some of them, and you just heard of some of the others. So just wanted to share these things with you. Let me hurry up because I know. So one thing we understand is this, and I got my son working with me with the youth. I'm with him here. He does most of it. I go in there every now and then to help him out. But one thing we understand is like, I'll say this. But like people like at Nordic, people know me and they say, man, you motivational and you're energetic and you have all that. And I said, you don't understand that there's a reason why you're attracted to it because there's a psychology to this. You know what I mean? There's motivation, and please hear me when I'm saying this. If we work together, if we don't, motivation is a strategy that needs to be ingrained into the culture of an organization. It's not just a speaker or an event. It needs to be ingrained. So what we look at is systems. And so what we say is this, it's kind of our quote for innovation. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So what we want to do is have systems in place for our case managers, our job developers, where they're operating in such a way that's consistent with what we're trying to accomplish as an organization. And so we become partners to help coach and train to that stuff. You know what I mean? When we work with an organization, we're not coming in there as the sage on the stage. You know your operations, you know how you do things. We just want to be able to contribute to it to help you achieve your goals. So that's a powerful quote because, like with systems, like, you look at me now, I'm 85 years old and I still, still kind of got it a little bit. I'm really not 85, but but I have a system for working out. I'm up at 5:30 every day. I don't need an alarm clock anymore. I get up, I roll out the bed, and I go to work out. Why? It's no longer a thing that I do. All right. It's no longer what I do, it's who I am. And what we try to do with workforce development, get people to say, this is who we are. And every single day, we're going to operate as in this space. I remember telling my staff, everybody's important. My front desk person, Judy, you're just as important as I am. Everybody important because we are a team working together to produce something. You're the face of the organization. You're the first person that they see when they walk in here. So we all play an important role. So anyway, let me go on because I don't feel like I'm lecturing you, but so we believe that this thing here is like more you got to get this inspiration, but we need to look at all the key components like frontline empowerment and training, leadership empowerment and coaching, and client ownership. That's kind of like when I ran my programs and also when we work with groups now, if it's a one-time thing we're coming in for, or if it's like, coach, could y'all just be a resource? Come in, we work together, we're gonna have you coach people up, things like that. These are important components to organizational success. All right. Pause. Any questions? Because I'm sharing a lot. I want to make sure you're tracking me. Is everyone getting where I'm, as the kids would say, y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Y'all got it? Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. And I'm not going to keep you too long. I just want to make sure we got this so you can understand what we do here. So we want motivation embedded into the culture. This is training a workforce group up in Maryland. So what we realized is when I first started doing this work, I would come in my or one of my team members, and we would do a motivational thing, and that was nice. We still love those because we still get invited to. But what we noticed was you talk to that same group of people a month later, like, what are you doing with this stuff? Like, what are you implementing these ideas? And so what we realize is it's just like sports because I'm a former athlete. Coaches don't do one coaching program and then say, let's go win the Super Bowl. They don't. What do? They constantly coach up those players. They look at what they're doing, what they could have done better. So what we look at is workforce development. It's like a playbook. What's my playbook for case management? What's my playbook for job development? What's my playbook for being a manager? What's my playbook? All these different positions and operate within the playbook and constantly and growing. And like it's with this one group we work with, we've been working with them for a year. We meet with them twice a month. Every other month is live. And so one of the leaders that contracted us had not been to the programs because they've been busy and all that. So they came into one and we had one of the groups together. And so we were brainstorming ideas and strategies to connect with clients. And what the leader found that was interesting was when the question came up by one of the frontline staff members, I didn't say anything. I said, figure it out. You got it. And they came together, there's like 15 of them, and they brainstormed and came up with these ideas on how to deal with this one particular client. And she was amazed by that. She said, I didn't even know all this was going on here. I said, yeah, I said, we trained them to own this place, this space. What we said was, you have, and a lot of people don't know about this term, you have what's called localized best practices. Other words, we're looking nationally for something that's right in our own building. But if we don't communicate, we will never know that. So we created these pods and they meet every other week. This is beyond us. And they brainstorm and they analyze what's going on. And then they put systems in place. If somebody needs help, they have codes they have the system that they use and they can send code 3325. That means I got a pretty aggressive client because somebody come help me. They work with each other, and it's powerful. So we realize training is, and so focus on internal and external customer success. So what we tell folks is you got clients, but then guess what? Internally, you got customers too. These are your coworkers. So we don't just want to have success working with clients and don't have success working with each other. you know, I mean, seriously, we love our clients, but can't stand each other. So come on, that's not going to work. The clients can read that stuff anyway. They know what's going on in there. They're not fools. So we say we got to work on building our structure, our core values, our systems, and how we communicate with each other. And then post-pandemic leadership synergy. In other words, leaders leading. This, remember, if you look back and you look at that framework, this is all a part of it. Leaders leading from a position of this is the outcomes we expect, and we're going to model and mirror some of those expectations. Leadership being post-pandemic leadership, not leading today like we led 5 years ago, being a little bit more empathetic, a little bit on emotional intelligence. So we want to embed that into the culture. So we have live, and virtual programs. And some organizations say, Coach, we want you to do some self-paced videos for us. And so we literally will customize a video for your organization on a particular topic, which means no matter the person comes in a month, 2, 3 months from now, they have that information available. And so we do staff development, one time or the framework. Some people say, Coach, we just want to come in and do a couple of motivational things for us. That's fine. We'll do that. We prefer the more long-term relationships because we feel like we can help build some things out. We're talking about teamwork and core values. We have a thing called workforce. I just did a training on that the other day, workforce development with a new group. We're doing workforce development team success strategies. So we're working on specific strategies to bring the team together more collectively around their core values. Then we do coaching for leaders. Some leaders get into positions, they're new leaders, and they're still they may be, let's say, have a skill set that can help, but need to enhance those leadership skills. And so we will coach leaders up to become more effective under our post-pandemic model. And then adult and youth client job readiness, motivation, and also work with dislocated workers around reinvention. So this is kind of who we are. What we like to do is partner. We like to partner with the organizations we work with. We like to say, hey, and I've worked with your organization before, so this is not new. I've worked with SERCO and I've been down there many a times for SERCO for different things. You know what I mean? I think the difference today is I'm looking at more of the systems approach. Back then, coach come work with some dislocated workers, coach come work with some students, coach comes sharing our staff. Now we're talking about a system to enhance some of these areas versus just come up at one time, which we're still okay with that too. And then, when it's all dead, and we need to create these dream teams that are needed for success. Because this is just a Coach D-ism, and hopefully this will really resonate with you to some extent. And that is simply this, you know, workforce development, teamwork, and culture development is really the key to workforce development success. It really is. It's the way we work together as a team. It's no different than an athletic team. Like a team that does not work together is not going to win any championships. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? I use scenarios, and I'll say, imagine if you're a quarterback, and y'all familiar with football. You're in Texas. I know y'all know about some football down there. Imagine if you got a quarterback, right? Quarterback drops back into the step and look to pass, but the wide receiver is sitting down saying, I don't feel like playing today. you know, Turn around, get the ball to the running back, say, what you giving that to me for? That's a team that's going to lose and lose often. Why? Because you need everybody on the team playing in the game in order to win and giving it their best. That's what we want to help you create. That, I mean, I'm sure you already. I know you guys are fantastic. I know you've won awards. I know your organization has done some great things. We just want to bring, a little bit of what we bring to the table to enhance that. So, let me do this because this is not working for me like I wanted to. All right. Can y'all still see that? You can still see it? All right. I don't know why it's acting weird right now. I don't want to share that anymore. I'm not gonna worry about it. For some reason, it's not letting me shut down. So I don't know why that is. But anywho, um, we'll just let that go for now. So any questions? What are y'all thinking? What was said? Is there any potential here?
So I don't know if Andrea's on. If there she is. Okay.
I'm
Andrea's
here.
on?
I'm here. So sorry, guys. I'm on the road,
That's
but I
okay.
love everything you had to say, Dylan. You're so right. Our team is so it's so important for the team to work as a team, right?
Yeah.
Um, I know I invited all the project directors because I felt it was important that we start, also if, in a sense, a no wrong door concept, right? If whether you're at the Brazos office, the Concho Valley office, the San Antonio office, the Laredo office, the Houston office, we are all going to build this same culture, right?
Yes.
Of developing these generational transformations to our customers. And I want them all to be able to be transferable, right? Wherever they want to grow, because at the end of the day, even with Serco, there may not be an opportunity for leadership in that particular office, but there's always opportunities with us and others.
Yep.
So we're looking to build our team, but build them in the right way with the right mindset so
Bingo.
that they in turn can build their teams. So
Yeah.
I'm loving everything. I want to hear from the project directors that this is something we can move forward with. Perhaps sit with you and just make a plan of action of,
I would love
maybe
that,
make
yo.
some some cohorts, whether I definitely want to invest in the leadership, but we also need to invest in the staff. I
Big
don't
time.
think they
Big time.
understand how much impact they make on a daily basis. I sometimes feel like they have a job and they
Yep.
come into their job and they leave their
Hold on.
job.
Yep. Hold on one
Um,
second. Let me show you something. Look, keep talking. I can hear you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we guys, when we talk to project directors, we're always talking about how do we help them understand that they can do so much and they're on the right bus right now. We are
Yeah.
on the right bus, guys.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
team says, we're on the right bus. Now, are we gonna make sure we're, you
Mm.
know, heading in the right direction?
Well, I'll say this, Andrea. First of all, thank you. And I want y'all to answer because she did ask. What are your thoughts? So, before I say anything, where are y'all? You
No,
know,
I think it's a great idea. Um, I've
Mm.
worked with you before,
Yes, you have.
so I know what you have to offer.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I
I'm
appreciate it.
looking forward to some training for my team on teamwork because I often tell them
Yep.
none of us can be successful without one another. It
Bingo.
all works together. We all have to be playing on the same team. So
Yes.
I was relieved to hear you say that, and I'm ready to get scheduled.
Thank you. Thank you. This warms my heart because I love Texas and I've worked with you before. I'm just looking forward to the opportunity to do it again. This is great. So
For
uh
South Texas is more or less the same. We are doing good things here in South Texas, but we need motivation. We need to
yep,
work as a group, as a team, to
yep,
have the same dream, same goal for our
bingo,
participants.
bingo.
Mhm.
We got one more person. He must be a Cowboy fan. He wasn't looking at me the right way after I started calling the Eagles.
I am a Cowboys fan, but
Hard
they
on Cowboys fans. Don't I'm a Cowboys fan. Don't be too
I
hard on
can tell by that look, man.
only because I've been a Cowboys fan since I was five, Cowboys and
Oh,
Raiders since I was
oh,
5 years
okay. All
old.
right,
But
man. All
We
right.
only
you know,
hire Cowboy fans, Coach Dell. That's a prerequisite.
Uh-oh,
Okay.
I'm
Hey,
in
I'll,
trouble.
I'll switch for like a week. I promise for a week I'll be a Cowboys fan.
no, but I've seen you speak. I think at
Yeah.
least twice now, and so I'm definitely I'm on board. Definitely,
Yeah.
I think my team here in
Yeah.
the Gulf Coast could definitely benefit from you, and only a few of us from the Gulf Coast have been able to
Mm.
see you speak, and I think that
Yeah.
every time I
Mhm.
seen you, I left motivated, right?
Yeah, man.
And
Yeah.
so I think that's something that we can definitely bring to the Gulf Coast and help, put some momentum and change
Yeah.
some things for my team.
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all something. This is beautiful. I just, I'm in this industry not because, so you always say there's so many things you could be doing, but I'm in this industry because I'm a byproduct of it. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for workforce development, I wouldn't be on this call with y'all right now. Because when it changed my mom's life, my mom landed a job, and this is a story I always tell to your staff. I'm telling you to in the quick version now, but if you heard me share it before, it's really motivational. I break it down. It's fun. It's engaging. But when my mother was transformed by workforce development, the whole household changed. And I'll never forget this. And this is what the teams need to hear. I remember my mom quit because we all know folks in this industry, that clients sometimes disappear. Like, what happened to so and so? Where'd they go? And so back then, I always say this is not a best practice today, but back then people would show up at your home, so they literally not came to our home and knocked on our door. I always make for our preface that was how it was then. I ain't trying to encourage that now, but the director showed up at our house, literally our apartment, because we lived in the Pioneer Homes project. knocked on the door and said, Connie, I was calling. We didn't get a response. And she said, I just can't do it. My boys, I need help. And he said, listen, that's what we're here for. He said, we're to help. He said, you're a shining star. You're like a rising star. We got to get you through this. And she had tears in her eyes. I was about 5 years old and I remember this. And he looked over at us, sitting on the couch. It was my brother and I. I was five, about 4 or 5. My brother was like 6 or 7. He pointed at us and he said, you see those 2 boys over there? And she said, yeah. He said, as you go, they go. She said, so if you quit now, you just gave them the blueprint. And she got back in that program. She graduated class valedictorian, and she landed a job with U.S. Air, which today is United American Airlines. It changed our life forever. We went from poverty in Syracuse to now traveling all over the United States for free. Because when your parent works for the airlines, you don't pay a dime. So I gotta tell you something funny. I'll be done because those who heard me speak know I gotta add my humor to it. So my mom took us to Disney World, right? And bro got a Mickey hat. I wore that Mickey hat for 2 years straight. I came back home to Syracuse. They were like, "You gonna ever take that hat off?" I said, "Nope." But I was just so happy as a kid that I got a chance to do something like that, coming from a year or so before living in abject poverty, not knowing where the meal was going to come from. So I understand the generational impact of workforce development. Now, those who are on heard me talk about my kids. Now, they're all college. My 14-year-old's an honor student. It's incredible. But if it wasn't for back then, so I want your team to understand that's what you're doing. And this is just one story. I got hundreds of them of youth we've worked with and adults we've worked with. They'll hear that this is much bigger than they can ever imagine. But you're absolutely right, Patrice. It's about that team. And we have to understand every day our job is to come in just like the Cowboys. I use the Cowboys as an example. The Cowboys come on that pad, they suit up, they go out there, they're not suiting up to lose. They are not going out there on any given Sunday to lose a game. They're coming in there collectively to win. And that's what, as why I call myself the workforce development motivator. And I want to say this too. We create this little product. You probably can't see it. It's called the Workforce. I'm going to send you on so you can take a look. It's called the Workforce Development Staff Daily Motivational Journal. So we got a journal for the staff. Yeah. Because what we're saying is this. We're saying to document your successes daily. One group we're working with, they have to email us every week a win. I want to win. What's happening is psychologically now they're saying, Coach, doggone it, I didn't even know I had that many wins. I said, because you never documented it. Now, obviously you're doing your case notes and all of this, but this is for you, And so, this is something maybe we can get, but what I'm trying to say is that, there's an old saying, you could be winning and think you're losing if you're not keeping the score. We want the team to keep the score. We want the team to work together, core values driven, overcome, conflict resolution. We have conflict that happens all the time, but how are we going to handle it? So we can get back to focus. So, hey, I don't know what the next steps would be. I can create what's called a concept paper. I won't put cost or anything in there, just some of the ideas we shared from today. And then we can regroup, or I don't know how it will work. And Andrea, we can talk about what's the next steps. I would love to work with you. I mean, like I said,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. I've been there so many times and love to get back on the team.
Yeah, I mean, my goal was for this month for our contracts was to have like this summer learning
Yep.
phase for in all our areas. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously I know we could do stuff virtually, but it's never the same, right? Everybody has their own budgets. I
Yeah.
think we could probably, if we could get a cost per head per topic,
Yep.
could probably, any agency can host. I know everybody's got their budgets
Yeah.
with their training dollars that I definitely want to start kicking off already.
Okay. Let's
The sooner the better.
Okay, yeah. And like I said, we'll work with you as far as that's concerned. But then also keep in mind the framework. And the reason I say the framework is because one thing I would want more than anything, let's kick it off. But let's look at it, even if it's like monthly coaching pod sessions. I mean, because
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? Because and I'm saying that not because I want to extend anything. I'm saying it because that's how you integrate it into the culture.
It has to happen. Absolutely. No. You're right. You're right.
It's got to be integrated. And so most of the customers we have, that's how we're working with them. We're, like I said, we used to come in and do a training, but now we're doing this training, coaching, things like that.
And so do you, would each project director nominate a certain number of staff for these frameworks, or
It
how
could be, it could,
how does that generally
it
happen?
could be done any way you want to do it. Some people have their entire staff going through it. Some have a few. We even have this model where we take, let's say you have 4 or 5 staff members, right? We call them leads. And what we're doing is we're coaching the leads, then the leads are going back and coaching the team.
Okay.
So now we can help with that too, because some of the leads may not know fully how to do it, but we can sit in on some of the meetings virtually, and
Okay.
and help coach them through it. Because the thing about it is, I'm really grateful for having a sports background, because I understand the power of that sports scenario as it relates to organizations. It's not much different. It's just it really boils down to, the way we practice, the way we interact, the way we deal with challenging situations, the way we go out into the field to play, and the expectations, and the mindset. So yeah, we can do it multiple ways. Like I said, I'll draft up a concept paper for you.
Okay.
And from there we can just we're still, let's go. And with the summer coming up, definitely would love to get on the schedule and look at trying to get to the different locations. I prefer that.
But I like the concept of the framework, but maybe if we can work on two frameworks, one for my leadership team
Yep.
and then one for the staff.
Okay.
I think that'll be a good
Okay. Like a
Yeah.
different, like an add-on. So what I'll look at is doing like maybe the summer series, which would be nice. I love Texas. As a matter of fact, I love driving through Texas, man. I mean, I love to drive by our locations, and it's because it's just, I understand one thing. I remember talking to Aaron Dimerson about, y'all remember he was one of the the
Yeah.
commissioners. And Aaron, we just always just talk about innovation. And I think that's how we connected, because he's an innovator, I'm an innovator, and I had him talk to the Virgin Islands, because they are trying to get some things going with their Department of Labor, and they had a new commissioner, Gary Malloy, and Aaron gave all kinds of good insight to him, man. And so my relationship with you all is really, it goes deep, and but this thing here, what we would do, I'll say this and I'll let y'all go. We would do the trainings individually, but we would probably loop around and get together with each other again, just to keep, you know what I mean? We want to make sure that each of these things that are being taught are being integrated.
I love it. Yeah, and then they can even pass on stuff to each other. I
Yes.
love the idea.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, to grow together.
Yeah. So listen, I just once again want to say thank y'all, because a lot of times people see me at that conference, all they see is what I do on that stage, and that's okay, because I'm there for that reason. But that's not it. That's a conference. This is who we are. We're consultant. We train. We coach. We motivate in the field, because that's where the game is being played. Right there. So we're honored that, we can once again become a resource for you. And I'll get that out. This week is pretty intense because I'm at this conference. Then my daughter's in the African engagement on Saturday. So Papa gotta get ready for that, y'all. I'm gonna
Yes,
be
of
wearing
course.
my African garb, y'all. I'm walking around. Glad I'm working out, so I'm gonna look a little buff so I can intimidate her future,
You owe us pictures.
Oh, I'm gonna give you plenty of pictures. I'm gonna look like one of those honorable, walking around with my African. And then, but I love this guy. My daughter's fiance is 6'5", 340 pounds. He played football at Georgetown University. That's a big
Wow.
boy. But he's a big old teddy bear, though. I love that guy, man. He's something. I remember when I first met him, I'm going to do the tough dad thing, man. So you interested in my daughter? You know what that guy did? He gave me a hug.
Cute.
And they don't be hugging me, man. I'm trying to be this tough dad, and you hugging me, man. So, but he's like my son now. So, but yeah, so I'm looking forward to this show. I really am, and
Yeah, us too.
we're gonna do some neat things together. We are, and keep in mind, I'm recording this, so I will send the video over to you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, for any of my other directors that missed it, we
Yep.
definitely are gonna incorporate it, send it their way, and yeah, let's get started. Whenever
get
you're
together,
ready to come back,
All right,
let
I'm
us
ready.
know, and
Oh
we'll
no,
get
I
this
will.
going.
You will have this concept paper within a week. I just know that these
Okay,
next 2 days,
okay,
all this stuff is going on, but you'll have it, because I know we're into the summer, and and we want to get these schedules tight and right and all that, so we can get out there and do what we got to do. All
So
right.
Coach G, there's
Yeah.
another part to this that we really want to, I guess, ramp up or build up. We really need to build up our youth programs,
Yes.
and our service delivery, our models, and the entire concept. I think it's too mixed up with adult and DW that
Yep.
our youth are getting lost within that
Can't
mix,
do that.
that same level of service that we're trying to give
Mhm.
adults, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I
Yep.
definitely want to maybe
Yep.
just brainstorm with you on how we can
Yep.
build that program in itself
Yeah.
for each one of our centers.
Yeah, and you know that's I think I've shared multiple times. That's where I started.
Yeah.
Our program was called Hype, helping youth pursue excellence. And I hate to say these numbers because people think I'm lying, but we had a 90% graduation rate. You know
That's
what I
awesome.
mean? And we had kids that were out of school, got them back in school and they graduated. But again, it goes back to these core philosophies, all these things I'm telling you. I'm gonna tell you I'll say just real quick, one of our youth core philosophies that was powerful. Again, we trained our staff to this stuff. So we just didn't say it. You know, we had the philosophies and we worked on them. But one of them was simply this, and I think you'll love this, and that is kids are not committed to programs, kids are committed to people.
Yes.
It's us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know any kid that's gonna walk into any operation and say, "Ooh, I heard you got that WIOA grant." We're here to work with you.
That's true.
No, they don't care about that stuff. They care about you. So I'm saying these are all things, like I said, I'll put it in the concept paper.
Okay.
And then we'll root back around maybe the next week and a half or so, and we'll see where we can go from there. Does that sound good?
Good. Sounds perfect.
Yeah, I like your team. I like this team.
They're amazing. They're amazing.
Oh, man,
This is
this is-
why we want to invest in them, because we know we
Oh,
can do
my
some great
God,
things
this is
with
like you
every
guys.
single one of them, as long as they have the tools to do it.
Yeah,
So
and
we're
Patricia,
ready to invest in
and
them.
look, Patricia, you didn't even know where you were coming in. Look at all this. Now we got a whole new family, girl. Look at that. All right, my friends, thank y'all so much. I'll get this off to you ASAP in this video, and I'll loop back around in the next couple of days as far as follow up, but then about a week or so with the concept paper. All
Sounds
right.
good. Thank you so much, Coach
All right.
D.
Thank you. Bye bye
Have
now.
a good day. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you,
Good seeing
everybody.
you all.
Have a good
Take care.
one.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.